Good afternoon. It is June 5th, 2019. You're listening to a Little Column A, Little Column B, hosted by Will Limonos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How you doing today, buddy?
What's going on, Will? We have a town in Ohio. They have hot pink water. Yes, hot pink water. Not the temperature, nope, the color. Hot pink coming out. Officials say nothing to worry about. Little screw up at the plant. Definitely safe to drink. Maybe not good for your clothes. Do you trust them?
No, I don't. Water, I think everyone has an understanding of water, and they are easily able to separate it from anything else based on its clear and distinct appearance, as well as it shouldn't smell. It shouldn't have any. It should have zero characteristics other than water. That's a red flag for me. I'm not trusting that at all.
Yeah, officials said the pink color came from a malfunction at the water treatment center that saw a large quantity of sodium permanganate end up in the water. Now, I think we were talking last week about, hey, is this a fireable offense? The way that they framed it as the treatment center saw a large quantity, that makes it sound like Jerry accidentally hit a button or accidentally dropped something and is for sure getting fired over this. You cannot have everybody in the town having pink water because, as you said, that's not the color of water. That's the color of that's not even really the color of Gatorade. That's a red flag. Stay away. Drink some bottled water. They said they washed it all out. It should go back to its usual transparent appearance soon, but I'm staying away from that. That seems real risky.
That seems ridiculous to me. I don't want any part of that. If given the choice here, though, what would you do? I mean, are you gonna? I'm assuming this is coming out of the tap, right? This is not like a bottled water that was mistakenly sold. This is coming out of the tap. So,
no.
What are you opting for right now? Are you're not doing the dishes at home? Are you buying bottled water and suddenly doing stuff like that? Are you showering with bottled water? Are you doing laundry with bottled water?
I don't think I'm gonna shower in the pink water.
Okay, so there's nothing that this pink water is good for. You're not showering. We're not doing the dishes. We're not cleaning anything. You're just essentially without water. There's not one thing you're going to use this pink water for.
I'm at the point of, do I want to try a shot of it just to see what it tastes like?
No.
This is an opportunity kind of deal.
All right. Well, how many days are you going to wait before you try this shot? Like, is this happening on day one? Or are you going to kind of let it dissipate a little bit? Like, wait till 5 days or so?
Oh, no, first day.
First day we're trying this. Adventurous here. Adventurous Zach Bishop.
Well, because they say that it's going to get fixed. So if you wait, then you're going to wake up one morning and then it's just going to be back to regular water. And I'm just curious. Does it taste like regular water? What does sodium permanganate taste like?
All right, what if this suddenly just expanded across the country like this was a new epidemic? This is a hypothetical, just as we're saying right now. I do not know anything more than what Zach has told me.
I think just exactly what I told you is that I would try it, like a little bit, but that I wouldn't really drink much of it, and I wouldn't shower with it, and I wouldn't clean with it, and I wouldn't cook with it.
All right, so I think
Can you imagine your scrambled eggs? Your scrambled eggs look so weird. Actually, I guess you don't put water in scrambled eggs, but all your food would look weird.
Everything would look weird. Speaking of something that looks very weird and a little different right now, Apple is shutting down iTunes. I think we've talked about this prior on the podcast, but I think it's official. It's gone, right? I don't think there's any more. The date has come, and there's no more iTunes. Does that seem very strange? Did you ever think there would be a day? I never thought there would be a day iTunes existed, let alone a day where iTunes no longer exists. What are you more shocked by? The invention of it, or
had a long run. Had a long run. It was definitely very innovative at the time. I remember being frustrated with it, with some of the anti-privacy things that they did, where you could get music onto your iPod, but you couldn't take music off of your iPod to try to prevent just widespread sharing, which I get. They were trying to be legit. You kind of had to get a little trickier, and there were ways around it. Definitely, they were the first ones doing the 99 cents for a song. It was really convenient to have all your music in one spot on a player, to get that on your iPod. Some of the things that I didn't like, I remember that it wasn't the most user friendly. When you would download a CD or something, you had to fill in all of the names yourself, which always just seemed to take forever. And I think the biggest thing for me was being at a house that shared computers. If someone didn't have, because the default was as soon as you plugged your iPod in, it automatically updated. And so if you didn't change that setting, every time you went to plug it in, you're getting music from everybody else in the family, which is not always the music that you want.
It's so
And
convenient.
I remember that just being, yeah, the whole thing where I could see, yeah, it's your own computer, and yep, you bought a song, you bought a couple songs, you want that just to happen automatically, and you don't want to have to think about it. But that was not convenient, and I remember having to go in and trying to stop it, trying to then have to delete stuff later, and definitely was a headache. What kind of memories do you have of iTunes?
I never really used iTunes. I was an XM radio user, and that just immediately made so much more sense. I mean, even hearing you talk about it right now, doesn't 99 cents per song sound crazy? That doesn't
Oh
sound,
yeah,
I mean,
because it went from, it's like an in between area of owning the music, where it was like before I just kind of just listen to stuff on the radio, then it's like, oh, I got an iPod, well, I need to put music on this. Here's a way I can legally do this, and then it transitioned to Pandora, Spotify, kind of back to more of the radio model of, hey, you can pick what you want to listen to. It's pretty much free, but you're gonna hear some commercials. And that was a fair trade off.
I was also a user of, we'll say, the less ethical options that were widely available during the era of iTunes. I think they actually created iTunes in some way. These software where you could search for a song and there'd be a variety of options available. I mean, iTunes more or less mastered that and then made it perfectly legal. But it just seems crazy to me of how expensive that was at the time. I suppose also at the time it was crazy that you could just suddenly have music in your pocket like that. That was a big kind of evolution right there. I don't really remember much life before that. Like this is right during our era right now. So music, there's always been a variety of options available. But now it's a streaming service. It almost seems like everyone's come to terms with being able to pay for music. Like I think everybody owns some sort of account at some point. Is it like nothing's free anymore with music? It's just some sort of accommodation. I think everyone's used to, and it's a fee. It's just the norm.
Yeah, you're renting.
You're
renting rather than buying.
Yeah, I suppose it's not funny that the model no longer works with all the options again. A couple other things that Apple has also done. I don't know if you saw this, but they released their final and most update of the iPod Touch. There's a $200 iPod Touch that's new that is now available, and only certain people are going to know what the hell that is. A lot of people are going to ask, why in the world would you ever need this? And I'm going to ask that same question. For $200, wouldn't you just buy like the oldest iPhone with the possibility of eventually, like worst case scenario, you could at least throw service on it if you had to? The iPod Touch is nothing. It's just it seems like a obsolete device if you ask me. Did you have an iPod
Yeah, I'm
Touch?
trying to rack my brain on why you would go that option at this point, like you said, of wouldn't it just be easier just to buy an old iPhone, and even if you didn't turn the service on, I would think you could still use it the same way as just a music device, because I know that's been some talk of, I think it's been fixed now, but like with the subways for a while, it was, well, I have no service, so actually an old school iPod would be like the best. Doesn't need to connect to anything, just all I'm looking to do is listen to music while I'm down in this in this tube.
I've heard that before, and I think another feature that is a big selling point on this is the size of it. It was much smaller. Like you could easily fit this in your pocket. You could fit this in your pocket with your phone from like a just comparison, which feels like the most old school thing
kids?
ever. If you don't want to get a kid an iPhone or an actual phone, this is kind of like
that. Kind of goes to like your point of you just don't turn the service on.
Yeah, I don't know who it's for.
I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
It seems $200 seems kind of expensive.
Well, the other thing
I
is,
would think there'd be other cheaper options.
So it's typical Apple where that is the starting price. So that's not even like the best iPod Touch you could get. There's I think a $300 and a $400 version available, which now at that point you're halfway through paying off with their lowest end phone, that their newest lowest end phone. So I don't know what that one's for. Apple also made a big announcement that they finally came out with the new Mac Pro. Any guess on the starting price for this? So this is like a desktop, Apple's latest desktop kind of tower available.
$3,000.
Ooh, nope. So the starting price is going to be $6,000 for this new MacBook Pro or Mac
Wasn't
Pro.
even close.
They actually made some improvements on it. It actually has some customizable ability. I think Apple kind of got in trouble in the past with everything that was in the box was in the box. You couldn't change anything, and if you wanted to get it fixed, you have to send it back to them. Nobody else could work on it, and blah blah blah. But this is a very, very expensive device. Now, with that, all you do get is just the desktop itself. You do not get the monitor. They presented a brand new monitor with this that's some 6K Ultra HD something, and the starting price on that is $5,000. And the only reason I'm bringing all this up is for the last part here, is that also is just for the monitor. If you want to get the stand to put the monitor on, that is another $1,000 for just the stand. I ask you, who is paying for this?
What does this expensive stand do?
It does. I don't know. I think this was a terrible marketing campaign to begin with. I think the only thing it may have some additional plugs to expand some of the things you could plug into the back of the monitor itself. And then I think you can angle it and you can rotate it.
Did you say they just debuted this?
Yes, this is brand new. This just came out this week.
This is Apple's whole playbook. This is what they do. They come out and there's like this crazy the stand costs $1,000. This is how much it costs, and just because they just anchor that price point. So you're like, oh man. And now they're gonna come out in a month when they're actually about to sell it. It's gonna be like, hey, actually, it's only $9,999, under $10,000, and you're gonna be like, oh sweet, it's not nearly as expensive as I thought it was gonna be. They do this with all their products.
Well, we'll see. I just thought it was a bold decision. I mean, I get that now where everybody's talking about it. I do think that was the common outrage, and it almost kind of covered up that there was $6,000 and $5,000 of the other things. It was like, oh, those are really expensive, but at least they're really, really good at what they do. This stand, there wasn't a whole lot of selling points that I saw, and it was just like, wow, that's $1,000 to work with this one monitor. That's already $5,000. I agree with you that was probably
you would think they'd throw in the stand.
You would think that you would
advertise
advertise
that much for a monitor.
I would advertise the monitor as $6,000 with the stand, and I would give the option if you want just the monitor for $5,000. I think that would make people a lot more excited in the checkout. When you see the recommended items, this would be like a recommended disabled thing. Like you could uncheck this $1,000 fee if you didn't want to receive the stand as well. But I also think that there's already such a high price point on all this that if you're able to afford all this, chances are, I mean, is $1,000 that much to you anyways?
All of this for the majority of people just to go check their Facebook, right?
Well, yeah, this.
Sure, some people are going to be using it for music, or going to be using Photoshop, and actually using probably its capabilities. But what percentage do you think are just, I got to Google something, and let me check my Facebook and my Instagram?
So there is a couple specifics that this really, really would excel at, and that would be video and photo editing. Not only for the processors and all that and all the stuff you can do, the customizability of it would be really, really effective. But the monitor, it looks as real life as you can get. The color accuracy for this, from my understanding of what I briefly read, is it's it's one of the close to perfect monitors you can get for this. So it could be done on a professional setting. And I suppose if you're comparing this to, say, an actual professional editor for any TV show or anything else like that, this looks very cheap, I think, in comparison to professional, high-end stuff. I actually think this is that. But if you're getting the high-end stuff, I'm sure this thing is limited in some aspects with that you wouldn't drop down to this price point either. But I don't know who this is for. It feels like an in-betweener. Too expensive for the average person and maybe limited for the absolute high-end professional. But perfect for the person that wants to try to be high-end, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It's classic Apple. I don't know who buys all of it, but they somehow always manage to sell all this stuff and stay on top of mind and stay on top of the market.
Somebody's going to buy it. They're not going out of business, that's for sure.
They're not going to go out of business. And it didn't even feel like they copied too much. It just feels like they just made improvements and they took their time with it all. Speaking of copying, I actually saw this funny little topic. I think it's something that trended a little bit across the social media for a little bit. Was this Ashton Kutcher graduation speech? It was a couple of years ago, probably like a while ago, or maybe it wasn't graduation speech. It was the Nickelodeon like kids award or something. Did you know the speech I'm talking about? Like, would you?
No.
You have no idea about this? All right, maybe I'm the only one who clicks on this
Nope.
recommended side videos. But anyways, there was a principal this year that gave his high school speech, and he copied the entire Ashton Kutcher speech. It's literally plagiarized almost word for word. And I recognized it. Well, I recognized the articles that pointed it out, but I just wanted to go see it. It's not even like kind of hidden. It's terrible. So every high school principal that's ever told you to do the ethical thing, what do you feel on graduation day about this guy just straight up jacking someone else's speech? Are you outraged?
I'm not outraged. Outraged, you save that for stuff that actually, like, he didn't hurt anybody. But it does seem there is some irony here, like you said, of he's the one that would have punished someone for doing this exact thing. I think it's funny because a lot of times people are giving speeches, especially at graduation, and you just kind of zone out. But there had to have been. There's probably just one kid. It's like, I've heard this before. This sounds super. Why does this sound so familiar? Why does this sound familiar? And he's like racking his brain. It's like 3/4 of the way through. He's like, wait a minute, hold on, and then like goes. Actually, you don't even need to go home anymore. Probably checked his phone immediately. He's like, what in the world? And why would this principal do this? Like, what does he have to gain from, like if you're gonna
Playing
if
with
you're gonna
fire.
copy somebody, why copy Ashton Kutcher's? I'm sure you could have found other ones. There's a lot of graduation speeches that have been done by people that I'm sure are better. It just seems like a really odd move of just write your own. But if you're gonna plagiarize it, like mix it up a little bit. Grab like a little bit from him, grab a little bit from Charlie Kelly, grab a little bit from or Charlie Day, grab a little bit from.
You want to play the field?
The billionaire from last month. It just and you could just change it up a little bit. Like all the graduation things are pretty much the same kind of general theme of, hey, you're about to go out into the world, and you're not gonna be little kids anymore. You're gonna be adults, and you're gonna have to attack, and it's all the general same theme. Just it seems weird. You would just line for line just steal it straight from Ashton Kutcher.
So, from my understanding, you're more or less confirming this that if you're going to plagiarize the field. Use everybody, not just one person.
That makes sense, right? If you're gonna do it, you might as well do it just all the way.
I suppose then there would be a bit of a trend of being like, all right, he's not trying to trick anybody into thinking that he actually wrote this himself. He's blatantly copying a variety of well-known speeches and quotes and whatever. I don't know. Maybe he thought this was an obscure enough thing that maybe nobody would get it. What I want to know is, I bet if I go back, I bet if I go back to a certain time, like I got to look up when this Ashton Kutcher speech happened for Nickelodeon. I'd be very curious to see if that was the same graduating class. Like this is probably the worst audience he ever could have tried to pull this off on. Like if it was maybe our age group, we would have maybe had no idea about it, unless you're a weirdo like me that clicked on the side link. But some of these graduates might have been kids watching Nickelodeon at the time, and are now there. So I don't know.
Do you think there's a funnier backstory here? Like the principal's the one giving the speech, which is just a little odd. Usually, you kind of somebody brought in. So
is he Kutcher's ghostwriter?
Supposed to come in.
Was he the ghostwriter?
No. This was more of a that morning. They were like, hey, Carol can't make it to do the speech. You have to do the speech. And just, in 2 hours? Okay, all right. What are my options here? All right, there's no way I can write a speech that fast. I'm going to look like an idiot up there. All right, what do we got? All right, Google speeches. All right, well, we went to the third page of best graduation speeches. We're probably good. These kids are super lazy. They're not going to go past the first page, let alone the second page. Yeah, this is what we're going to do, print.
Oh, man. I don't know. I would love to know what the backstory was. I like the idea now that the principal is the one who wrote the speech years ago, and Ashton Kutcher used it, and he was like, no, I think it's been long enough that I can use it now. I don't think that's how ghostwriting works at all.
So he was the original writer.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with that he was the original. To be fair, though, I don't think he read it quite as well as Ashton did himself. But so maybe
Well,
he wasn't.
he's Ashton's a professional. He's a movie star.
Well, I think we could all remember those days of high school, right? Those were fun times. I don't think anyone wants to go back to them. But hopefully, most people had the pleasure of actually going to prom with a date. I bring this up for a kid whose date disappeared on him. I don't know the actual whole story of it all, but bottom line is this kid ends up going with Juju
Wait, you mean
Smith-Schuster.
there was a high school relationship that was kind of flaky? That doesn't sound right.
That sounds very accurate, but I wonder how heartbroken the kid really was, or if he was that much more of a Steeler fan or a Juju fan, that he would seem just as excited, if not more excited, to throw on the velvet tux with Juju and enjoy the night out. I I'll ask you this carefully right now. Would you have given up your prom date to hang out with Juju on prom night?
No.
They're both once in a
seems-
lifetime opportunities, right? They're not going to happen again.
It just seems odd to have because I've seen these before to varying degrees, whether someone's sick, and it's always the person that's the date always means well, but it just always seems weird. Like prom is for high school seniors and their dates, so you're looking at roughly between what 16 and 19. It just seems weird to have an adult in the mix. Like, hey, you're 8 years older than everybody else here. Yeah, I know you're famous, but yeah, that's kind of weird, right? Like what? Like I remember prom was like a dinner and there was dancing. Like what part can you really participate in? Am I way off here on this?
I know. I agree that there's an age gap here. I mean, I don't know. Especially in high school, the age gap in high school is drastic because it's almost like you're hanging out with people that you really shouldn't be hanging out with. Like I think it's almost common knowledge right now that high schoolers should probably only hang out with high schoolers for the most part. And there's a bit of a stretch here and there, and I'm sure some people are able to pull it off. But I think generally we leave this group alone. We don't want anyone kind of dipping their toes in that pool.
I mean, Juju's he's only 22, so he's
yeah, but 22 is
it's
a
not,
big.
like I said 8 years is a joke, but I think I agree with what you're saying that in high school 3 years or 4 years is like that's a bigger jump than I say when you like become an adult.
Well, I also think the second you finish high school, your life immediately changes, regardless of what your future was or what your high school life was. The second that ends, everything changes. I don't think it's almost like once you get out of high school and all those changes happen, it's very weird to go back to it. You know so much more. You know like an outside world almost, and you're coming back in, and you'll never be able to fit into that world again. It seems like an obscure kind of thing to do. But I get that he means well though, and
yeah, for sure. And like yeah, all these people always mean well, but then there's the other part of all right. Now here's prom that's happening, and everyone's really excited because it's like it's one of like the last like high school events. But then there's just like a bunch of guys that just want to talk to Juju because he's a professional football player, and like you're not really focused on the prom part of it. You're just like, hey, I want to go talk to this guy over here. It just I don't know. It seems odd. It seems like from the article like everybody had a good time and it worked out and the kid was happy, and I don't know if this is a good incentive for kids to just like, hey, what if we break up and then we just try to get on social media and try to get famous people to come to our prom? I'm not sure if that's the best way to go about it, but yeah, seems just odd to me. I don't think that I would have preferred to take a professional athlete to prom.
We probably shouldn't go there. But do you think if it was a celebrity female person, would that change your prom options as well? Like, are you still going to stick with your date here, or are you going to go with this new potential hypothetical?
For some reason, that seems to go more smoothly. I think it's just because it's more of a like just the way it is with prom. Like it's a date, and so it's like, oh, I've seen you on TV. I've got a crush on you. It just kind of makes a little more sense rather than, oh, I'm going to go with a buddy.
Yeah.
But I think there would still be it's almost just one of those. It's a fantasy. In your head, it's a good idea, but then in practicality, it's just like, oh, you're way older than the rest of us. we don't have anything in common. This is just an uncomfortable situation for everybody.
I don't know how to dance with an adult. I only know how to dance with high
Yeah.
schoolers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, you're really pretty. Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah, I agree. That sounds like more of a nightmare than me. I don't think I could handle that pressure. I was very comfortable with the.
Yeah, like I said, it all sounds good in your head, but then it's just the application and the real life. It just seems like it's just gonna go. It's just gonna be a real awkward night.
While we're on the topic of NFL players right now, let's talk about somebody who chose to retire or was forced to retire. I don't know what the whole story is right now. Calvin Johnson was back in the headlines this week. Apparently, somebody in the Detroit Lions had asked him if he had any interest in coming back. And apparently, to even start that conversation, Calvin Johnson says, "You need to return the money that you took away from me to allow me to retire." Does that make any sense to you? Like anything here? Or is this all just smoke? Is there anything here?
I was confused by this because I thought when he retired, they like some sort of money thing it sounds familiar. I don't remember the exact specifics, but I thought he was under contract, but he said he was going to retire, and so then there was a legal battle where the Lions were like, well, if you're not going to play, we're not going to pay you. Like that doesn't make any sense. So it seems weird. It just seems out of nowhere. It seems like a slow summer news topic. It's not even summer yet. Summer or spring topic of. He's been out of the league since 2016, so it's been a while. I haven't really heard much about him in a while. Just seems like an odd time for him to pop up.
With all that being said, and I kind of agree that there's probably nothing here. Do you think Calvin Johnson could still play and be an effective wide receiver in today's NFL?
Nah, he's 30. He's 33.
I don't know. I thought he was pretty good 3 years ago. 3 years of rest or 3 years of rust?
Yeah, 3 years ago. Do you know why that guys once they stop they don't come back? There's a reason for it. You're done.
Well,
you just can't take a break.
All right, do you think he was actually done then? Do you
break.
think 3 years ago Calvin Johnson was done, like had nothing left in the tank, where there was no reason to continue playing?
Not 3 years ago, but he's 3 years older now. What other wide receiver is 33 right now? Like what?
I don't know, but I know there's very few wide receivers like Calvin Johnson, and I'm gonna drop Larry Fitzgerald's name. I think that he's got to be over there, right? He's got to.
Yeah, he's for sure older.
Who else?
I'm looking up the 2007 draft, which he was drafted in, so it might not be the exact right age, but see what other wide receivers were in that draft.
Yeah, that would make some sense. I think the guy.
Why would he come back though? Why would he come back at this point?
I don't know. The other thing is he's coming back to a division that is reloaded, but his team has not. He's coming up. He's coming back like the worst time. I think there was out of the past 3 years, I think this would be the worst year for him to kind of rejuvenate Detroit. Yeah, I don't think he's got a whole lot to prove, anyways. But Megatron back on the fantasy drafts. Don't tell me that doesn't get you excited. Who doesn't want to see that?
Dwayne Bowe was signed, or was a wide receiver. Robert Meacham, Sidney Rice. I'm just reading names that look kind of familiar. Steve Smith.
Damn. Well, Smith retired, 2 years ago? Yeah, Steve Smith sounded like he played as much as he could have played.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is 33 is not old for regular people, but for football players, that's where you start to really you have to be like the absolute top of the top. Everything has to have gone your way. There's got to be a little bit of luck. And I just don't think you can just turn that switch back on and say, "Oh, yep, I was just messing around. Yep, now I'm ready to go."
It's probably for the best.
I just don't think you can be training as hard as you were as you were when it was your job.
It's probably for the best. I would say this is how things are supposed to be in general right now. I don't know what this whole money debate has to do, and I don't know why they would want him back. I don't know why he'd want to come back. I do think if we could do an 8-game schedule then bring him back mid-year, I think he'd have something to give. But I wouldn't be counting on a whole lot of it. Nor would I really want to pay that either. I mean, he wouldn't come back for nothing, I imagine. You'd probably have to pay him almost as if he was top.
He seems concerned about his money.
Yeah. He probably should. You think he ran out?
Maybe, I don't know.
Detroit does seem desperate enough to go for something like that. But speaking of trying to make things right, we finally have a correction in college basketball. I love this idea. I think we can both agree this made sense. The step below the NBA is the international 3-point line distance, and now college basketball is going to back their 3-point line to match that distance, so they will be the same. I think that makes so much sense, especially with everybody coming from overseas and practicing that 3-pointer, and I think threes just kind of expanding and becoming a lot more of a norm for all this Steph Curry era shooting styles. I like it. I think it's just about time. Any concern with this changing the game too much, or is this going to only help?
Why do you think it's going to help?
Well, I suppose the defense has to stretch out a little bit more. I don't know if that's a game changer or not, but it is going to push people out farther, causing more driving lanes, which should be easier buckets, either easier dunks, maybe more post moves, and even farther 3-point shooting. That all sounds like good stuff for the fans.
There's going to be less 3-pointers made, though.
I think I'm fine with that. I think there are going to be just the same amount of attempts. There's just going to be more misses, and I don't want guys to be able to make this every single time. I want it to be a little bit of a challenge.
Okay.
I think
I think
it's a slight increased challenge. It's not that much more challenging. It's just I think it makes a difference.
It's a foot and a half. It's not insignificant, I would say. I think that it's interesting how quickly they can make the change. It's June, they're making changes for something that's gonna like everyone's already been recruited pretty much at this point. So like the players are already locked in. And like you said, it's just a foot and a half. It's not a huge swing. But I just would have thought this would have been something that you say, "Yo, we decided we're gonna move the line back, and it's gonna happen for next year." And I guess you have months to prepare, but just you gotta change up your shot potentially.
All right, so do you not like the change, or are you just against the kind of the implementation of it? Like they should wait and take some time.
Yeah, just maybe give it a little more time, and just I'm not on your side of just it's 100%. This is like a great idea. I'm not fully in with both feet that it's for sure gonna work that way.
Well,
I'll be interested to see how it works out.
Well, don't you think college basketball should be on the same level as the international league? It's a stepping stone. Don't you want to be on that level?
I think the internationals should try to get on the college basketball level.
You think they should move theirs in?
I don't think that they should. They're two. It's two totally different things. But I don't think that college basketball is already popular, and it's more popular than international basketball. So I don't think that it should be necessarily looking at what international is doing. I think that this is a move that is going to help out the most elite players because it's going to be able to say it's a little closer to the NBA, so you're going to be able to tell a little better. Ooh, okay. So I think it's going to help scouts. I think it's a pro NBA move. I don't know if it's a pro college move.
Well, tell Danny to get ready, man. We're going to get a shooter next year. get these draft picks ready to go. I like it. I'm not against the idea of it. Speaking of something I probably am against the idea of, we'll stay in the college realm here. College football has announced that they're going to expand more bowl games, which is the last thing I think anyone ever asked for. Does that just mean they came up with more sponsors? What is the real reason behind all of this?
Definitely money. One of the big ones that's going to be new is it's going to be a AAC versus ACC matchup, which is going to be at Fenway Park where the Red Sox play. So that's going to be a new one. This will bump this. Last year there was 40. Coming up, this will mean that there's going to be 43 bowl games now.
Oh man, who's counting this? Like nobody wants to know. I don't think anyone cares about this. I don't think anyone cares about any of these anymore. I like the venue. I think that's cool, but I mean that's more of just a regional thing, anyways. I don't think anyone's traveling anywhere for anything like this. At least I sure hope not.
Oh, I mean, it depends on who's playing, of course.
Yeah, I almost feel like these were kind of a joke a couple years ago, and this just more along plays to that along the lines of all the jokes of like, who cares about all these? Why do we have so many? They all feel so insignificant. I don't know who watches them. I don't watch them. Did you watch any bowl games last year?
Oh, I dabbled. Yeah, there's nothing better than being on Christmas vacation and waking up way too late in the day, having some breakfast, and then turning the TV on. There's football on already. And I mostly brought this up because we're in June. We got a long ways to go before football. There's like 2 to 3 days in between every NBA matchup right now. There's just a lot of downtime trying to figure things out, and was just thinking, yeah, normally more bowl games I'd be completely against, but right now, oh, what I wouldn't do for a bowl game. Like there's like it's obviously tonight there's it's game 3 of Warriors Raptors, but like tomorrow, we can get a
They
Missouri Valley Conference versus the Mountain West champion. Yup, sign me up. What time? What time does it start? I'll be there. I'll be in front of my TV.
The story was released at your weakest.
Football.
You're at your weakest right now. They're just playing with
exactly. Yeah, I was watching the LSU Texas A&M game on the SEC network last night. The one that went into like a ridiculous amount of overtimes, and just like, oh, that's right. I remember watching this. That was fun. I don't even need overtime. Just a little bit of football. I just need a little bit. Just a little hit of football just to tide me over until real football starts.
Well, you brought up the NBA Finals. We haven't even touched the subject, and we just talked about somebody being at their weakest. A lot could argue right now that both these teams are slowly becoming at their weakest point. Golden State is looking at the end of that bench there, and they are just running out of bodies. Looking like Kevin Durant will not play tonight. Looking like Klay Thompson is questionable, with a very enthusiastic, like, sounds like he wants to play, but it did not seem like Steve Kerr was going to give him the green light. Also, was it Looney's out? Iguodala just looks slowly crippled and old, and yet he hits the biggest shot of the game last game.
Oh, he looked good last game. I don't know if he was holding on, but yeah, because he got hurt in the first game, and it was like, oh, I don't know, but he was good last game. Especially for someone that was supposedly hurt.
DeMarcus Cousins, if he says he's 100%, he's lying. And anyone who believes him doesn't have any respect for the quality of player he really is. I think he had a great game, but he's moving at 50% at most. He has so much more in him. He seems so slow and unhealthy right now, and it's just willing himself through these playoffs. Willing himself to even play. I don't think he even was prepared for those minutes he got last game. I bring all this up on Golden State, and then on Toronto, I think we have a couple injuries here and there. We don't know what's going on with Kawhi, which sounds like a minor thing because he still has been very effective in the playoffs and has somehow managed to power through it. But this guy's getting a contract next year. You can't tell me you're not keeping an eye on this injury right now. Somebody's going to pay him a lot of money, and I would be hesitant about it. I want to see how he handles the rest of these NBA Finals here. Maybe this guy just can't make it through a season, or maybe this injury is going to take even more time than anyone expected. Which team would you be most worried about? Are you more worried about Toronto or Golden State's health?
Well, it's easily the Warriors because Kawhi's playing, and that's just happening. Besides that, there's not a ton going on. Where the Warriors, like you listed it off, like Looney's not playing. Iguodala's banged up a little bit. We're not sure if Klay's is going to play tonight or not. And then Kevin Durant hasn't played yet. So they have way more question marks on I shouldn't say way better players because Kawhi's up there. But it's coming more and more. Curry wasn't feeling well. Sounds like he had a little gastrointestinal kind of situation that looked like kind of worked itself out in the second half. But hopefully a few days with some rest is getting him back to 100%. I think maybe he got the sickness that you and I had, so hopefully that goes away like it did for us. And we're all three of us, all got the same thing in common, that we got healthy after being sick. But yeah, I'm hoping for a big Steph game tonight. Just one of those heat check all game long, shimmying, just the whole thing. I'm sure that the Oracle gonna be hopping tonight. It's gonna be one of the last games at Oracle. So yeah, get excited.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that place is going to be rocking. I mean, they already have a very good home crowd. I forgot that the arena is going to be retired at the end of the year as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll get a place going. Let me ask you this: we're 2 games in. We got an even series right now, one apiece. Who is the Finals MVP thus far, and who's going to manage to survive to actually win the damn award? 'Cause it seems like both these teams are just falling apart.
I'm sticking with Steph.
You're sticking with
Sticking
Steph?
with Steph. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with Steph. I'm sticking that the Warriors are going to win in 5. I'm not changing up my pick from last week.
Well, I called the sweep for that, and I thought Steph would win it if they went to 4. And I think last podcast I said if this game goes more than 5 or 6 games, Draymond Green will go with the MVP.
Yep.
That
Yep.
seems very likely right now. I think Draymond has played the best out of both the first 2 games thus far. Draymond was the best player on Golden State both times. I don't think they win either of those games without him, or in either of those games without him. I feel really good about that pick right now. I think it's Draymond's to lose right now. Even if Steph has a big game tonight, it's going to be Draymond. No, do you not see this argument? Do you not think that actually has a possibility of happening?
It's not nearly as sexy of a pick. It's like, yeah, he's doing the dirty work, but
He's getting numbers. His passing has been really good. It's been good. It's always been good.
It's fine. It's fine, but I think that Durant can't come back, and Curry just has to be awful, like, for them to give it to Draymond. He's gonna do something stupid, and that's what's gonna stick out is the stupid thing he did, rather than all the good stuff he's been doing.
I actually think he's been good. Hey, Curry's the one who got the technical last game. Why doesn't that stick out?
It's different. It's different.
I know. I've been so hard on Draymond. It's really hard for me to support him this well, but I just think that they don't do anything without this guy. He rebounds, he dribbles the ball up, he gets everyone where they need to be and finds all the shooters. He's just such a playmaker and such an active piece for them that he's really the glue between everything, between the defense and the offense, and then just everything they do in between all that. He's the guy. He's doing a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. So I you know what, I don't think Toronto wins another game. You got them in 5. I think that sounds fairly accurate right now. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Oh no! Now you're jumping on the bandwagon with me. You're already wrong. I haven't been wrong yet. This is not good.
Did you
not how this works?
Did you not want the kiss of death right now? The cursed pick.
No.
Hey, you know what? I
used
picked
to being right.
I picked Duke to win it all next year too. They're my 2020 March Madness champions.
Oh, jump on the bandwagon. We got plenty of room still.
Oh, now that one I can jump on, but I this one I can't.
Yeah,
I get a kiss of death.
That's ways away.
I get
See, this is just the finals. This only lasts a little while longer. If you want to say that you think that Duke's going to win in March of next year, so almost a year away, you're gonna have to say that a whole bunch more times, and I think that'll be way worse for you.
Yeah, I don't want any part of that. You're lucky they didn't move the lines back this year. All right, RJ and Zion were borderline 3-point shooters this year. You imagine they take a step back? I bet those shots get a little shakier.
Why did you think I wasn't about to jump on board? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's funny that you mentioned that because on ESPNU, which I'm watching right now, is the Duke Louisville game. So I got that going on in the background.
Well, the other thing we didn't really talk about there is this going to change kind of NCAA history? Is there going to be an asterisk next to everything now? I mean, look at like J.J. Redick, perfect example. I'm sure he set some records or is up there in some all-time three-point shooting. They're at different lines now.
If I'm not mistaken, when JJ played was when it was at the high school line. So that they've already moved the line around.
Oh, all right. So there already is kind of a...
Yeah, they changed. It was right around 2008. I don't remember if it was right around when I graduated high school was when they moved the line back.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of weird.
I remember it being a thing because it would be, you're playing on a college court and because I think the women were still at the high school, or maybe they didn't update it all the way, so they just added a new line, and so that was always a thing when you're playing pickup. We playing high school or playing college, and my argument was always, well, we're in college now, so we got to play with the college line. But depending on who you play with, it changes.
Yeah, that's actually funny you bring that up because it is a strange debate that you're going to have regardless of the time. Do you think it was easier to officiate yourselves in like a pickup game for the high school line or the college line? Because I feel like I got into this debate like a lot. I always felt like we went with the shorter one, and I wasn't sure if that was easier to look for, foot on the line for the closer line or for the farther line. Like, what was easier, or did it really not make much of a difference?
I think it's equal. It's just that you got to know ahead of time of which line you're playing at.
Oh, so far. I'm not shooting that far. I'm getting old. I can't shoot that far anymore. Give me the tiny hello high school. All right, I want the short court and the high school 3-point line. I just need some room on the baseline though. I don't like the 1 foot gap between the 3-point line and the sideline on the corners. I don't want that.
Oh yeah, not a lot of room.
Gonna need some more room than that. All right. We're about 46 minutes through the podcast right now. I want to make sure I remind everybody about the website. Go check out the website, lcalcb.com. Check out a little bit of info about Zach and I and our bios on there, as well as see and listen to all the old episodes. They'll be on there, lcalcb.com. Make sure you check out Zach's Twitter, which is
WickedZman24.
Yeah, go bug him about Duke and that he's rewatching games he's already seen in football and college. Go talk to him. He's at his weakest right now, right? He's itching for some football right now. I can't blame you there. These in-between nights has been very, very rough. I wish that there was a third-place battle going on for NBA. I'm going to keep pushing that because it's been punishing right now to have these nights with no sports and no Game of Thrones. I don't know what else to do with my life. It's completely changed.
You have to go outside or something.
At night? What do you do at night?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just I'm on the same boat as you, man. I'm like I said, I already I got my plan. I'm just watching old games.
Yeah, that's not the worst option. I feel like I ended up watching a lot of bad TV in instead of all this, which is not good. Not what I want to be doing. Let's see. We got a couple small topics here we'll get into. You want to talk about a clothing line or some Pokemon? What do you want to go with here? I'll let you pick.
What clothing line stuff do you have?
Oh, I thought this was your swimming briefs here. Your denim jeans.
Oh,
swimming
the
briefs.
Cheeto?
I didn't want to say that. You said that very confidently.
You live out by the beach. Have you seen any Cheetos?
I have not seen a Cheeto.
If you listeners haven't seen or heard of, they are jean Speedos. Look exactly like what you think they do. So when your jean shorts just aren't quite cutting it, oh, you cut those even closer. Oh boy. Yeah.
Are they actually...
I don't know if this is gonna catch on or not.
Is it actual denim material or is it like a denim print? Yeah. Oh, that sounds even more uncomfortable. Wet denim?
Yeah. It looks like there's a liner on the inside, but
even then, there's nothing more uncomfortable than wet jeans. That sounds awful.
I agree with you. The one real funny thing that I got out of this was really looks like Tobias Funke from Arrested Development. Looks like something he would wear as a never nude. Does this effectively hide my thunder?
Made a huge mistake.
That's kind of where I was going with it, but yeah, you have to keep a lookout. You're near the beach. I could see some guy being on vacation saying, "Hey, no one's around that knows me. Yeah, gonna take these out for a spin."
Nope. So many bad decisions. Everything.
$40, Will. Oh, well, $40 for these. Why wouldn't you just buy $40 jeans and then just in a year cut them down?
Just a year? No. I'm against all of this. Do I sound like the old guy who get off my lawn right now? Do I just not understand the younger generation that is all about this trend? Or
I don't know. Here's what the product description reads. It's like eating a bag of chips in church. Everyone looks over at you with disgust, but deep down they want some too.
Oh, those are great. That's how you sell right there. We need a product description for our products right now. I'll shout that out right now. Go to merchbywill.com as well as the podcast website. You can buy them on there. We do have some podcast merch. My number one intern T-shirt is coming in today, so I'll make sure to share some pictures
Oh,
of that.
nice.
But we do have some stuff available. We've got some sweatshirts and some T-shirts available online over there. Go check out those websites and support the podcast by buying them. Spread the word. I feel like this is all my attire now. Is now all these Merch by Will shirts. This is all I wear. This is it.
As it should be.
I'm constantly branding.
Yeah, always marketing. Always be
Always.
marketing.
You know,
ABM.
you know, maybe we should do like a Apple kind of exclusive thing where we just have like $1,000 shirt. That's like the same.
Okay.
Are we gonna win? Are we gonna win people over by that, or are we gonna lose customers over that?
I feel like we're kind of more of the everyman podcast, but if we got a high roller that's interested in a $1,000 T-shirt / hoodie, knock yourself out.
We'll think about it. We'll wait for the people's feedback on that. I can't imagine it being very good. Speaking of something that maybe I wouldn't think would be very good, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a cultural difference. You know, I'm coming up with every excuse I can right now. All right, I can't relate to younger people, and I can't relate to Japanese culture in this licensed Pokemon weddings that are now being offered, like official licensed Pokemon. I imagine if you're a super fan of this, that would be awesome. If you have a significant other that is on board with your passions and Pokemon is your passion, this sounds right up your alley. I don't know how many people fit that category. Maybe I'm just outside of that circle, but is this something you would ever consider? Or is there maybe an American equivalent to something you would consider for such a specific topic?
That's why I brought it up. That's why I brought it up, because I hadn't heard of this from any sort of company or entity, and Pokemon seems maybe a little more cultural, but definitely know some people that are super into Pokemon that this could possibly entice. But definitely people that are into Star Wars, into Harry Potter, that if they get an officially licensed wedding, like they could be all over that. And
Game of
nothing
Thrones?
that really jumped out to me, but that's I was wondering for you if there's anything that you would be cool having an officially licensed kind of wedding.
I mean, if I say like a Mad Men wedding, does that sound like just like old school? Everyone dresses old school. I feel like that's not really a.
I was gonna say I think
thing.
that's just called a wedding.
Yeah, I think it would be the same. It'd be like I just encourage people to, dress in older styled clothes. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if they wore something modern.
Skinnier ties the better.
Yeah,
well, part of this too is with a wedding is it's not a solo venture, so it can't just be you that's super into this. It's got to be a double feature here.
Well, I actually think I'd have a chance at the Mad Men wedding. All right, I actually think there would be a hope for that. Like that sounds fairly realistic versus everything else sounds. Yeah, like you're asking a lot of people to really be on board with you. I think some people could get on board with like an old like 60s kind of wedding style. But I don't know. Is there? I don't know. Did you come up with anything? I mean, obviously, I know you're a super Office fan. Is there something you could do with that? I mean, is there any specific attire that would match?
I think it like this one has Pikachu's in it, so it's like I guess like character, like people dressed up like characters would be in the audience. Like I don't know, it seems weird. Like even like I like watching the show, but I think there's just like a certain line you get to. It's like yeah, no, now we've really gone off the deep end.
Do you think a Marvel superhero wedding would be possible?
I think that would also be in that realm of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, where that's where you could definitely get some super fans.
Game of Thrones.
You want to jump in with both feet here.
Game of Thrones must
be
on
Game of Thrones,
the list.
Yep.
I don't
really any of those world creating super popular.
Yeah, Rick and Morty. You getting on board with the Rick and Morty wedding?
See, that's animated. How do you bring that to life with that? I guess Pokemon's animated. I don't know.
That's the only reason I brought it up. Is a Simpson wedding possible? I don't know. It also sounds so ridiculous when I try to find an American equivalent.
Possible, yes. Of course, possible, but yeah, I don't know. Nothing's really jumping out at me. It just think like you said, Mad Men wedding.
Mad Men wedding, yes.
Pretty much everyone doesn't even realize what's going on.
You
It's
know,
just like,
you know
oh
what?
yeah, those.
I think the important part of this conversation is to see how unprepared both of us are already right now. And in theory, we both know this already right now, that despite that we have not met somebody else, we already know that we're not going to have any decision in any of this. Like, we're going to be far removed from all of this. It's going to be like, yeah, honey, yeah, that sounds great. Whatever you want. We're on board, because we are not making these kind of decisions. This is what would happen.
And you get to decide what the groomsmen wear, and you're gonna go like, yeah. So can we do anything like this? And you just show a picture of Don Draper, and the guy's like, say no more. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So no one else realizes it except for us.
All right. Well,
man, these are really skinny ties. Yeah. Hey, I don't know how that happened.
Skinny ties, and no skinny jeans. All right. That I think those are the only rules for Mad Men right there. Just let everything be the way it is. But a fun story nonetheless. I hope that anybody that did the Pokemon wedding like really enjoyed it. I imagine anyone who wanted something like that is super excited that that's something that's offered to them, and they're really pumped about it. We're not those people, but someone out there somewhere is super excited that this is something being offered.
For sure.
And that may be a cultural thing, but I'm sure if I was a super fan of something like that and that was an option, for sure. It's got to be about, obviously, it's got to be you and everyone you're inviting to the wedding has to be more or less on board with everything. It just seems like a lot to ask for. But a fun podcast nonetheless. Going to kind of wrap things up and start playing the music right now. Make sure you go check out those websites. Go get those T-shirts and hoodies. They're available on there. LCALCB.com. Anything else to add for the people today, Zach?
Duke was down by 23. They got it down to 10. I think they might pull this off. I'm not sure, though. I'm going to have to focus.
Are you... Oh, man. Final score for tonight, NBA Finals, Game 3.
Warriors are going to win. Warriors are going to win. They're going to cover the spread.
Ooh. Who was it? You sent me a tweet Game 2. And you asked me who I said was going to win. I said the Warriors by a lot. And then I think you sent me someone who said Warriors by 1 billion.
Yeah, that was the Barstool guys.
I think today we get Warriors by 1 billion. I don't see any chance for Toronto. Do you think Durant actually plays at all in this series? It's kind of a yes or no.
It doesn't look that way.
I don't think they're going to force him.
They said he wasn't playing tonight, and they said that a while back. And Game 4 is Friday, so only 1 day break. So good for us, not so good for him.
I don't think we see him.
Not looking good.
I don't think we do it. But we both have the Warriors in 5, and you heard it here first. You heard it from Zach first, and then I got on board. You know what the worst thing is? I feel like on these outros they used to always kind of end with like "Go Patriots." You know what? Like, how about "Go Bruins"? Can we get some Bruins? No, we're not getting on board. You're gonna pass?
I feel like I'm a Johnny Come Lately if I try to jump on the Bruins thing now, but I can go back to the Patriots thing.
All right. Well, sure enough. All right. Any last words then?
Go Pats.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel right. Go Bruins.
Yeah, it's too early. I don't know.
Go get the job done.
Next time.
I want another parade in Boston. One more.
Well, little column A, little column B.